Hello viewers, welcome to your program Development Zone where we celebrate achievers, unveil the core potential of our dear nation, and also celebrate those that have contributed immensely to build our country. Today on the program, we'll be talking sports and we'll be chatting with Dr. Mrs. Esther Aluko. She is the National President of AFFAN. She will be unveiling to us the activities and the achievements of AFFAN under her able leadership. Sit back, relax, I'll be right back.
AFFAN is an association of former female athletes of Nigeria, registered in Nigeria, and linked with activities of discovering, educating, empowering, nurturing, and mentoring the female athletes in Nigeria. Association of former female athletes of Nigeria was formed about a year ago, and it came to be because former athletes came together and decided to be a voice for the female athletes in Nigeria. Before this time, we had no organization like this that could talk on behalf of these girls, that could be a voice to these younger girls, that could fight the cause of these younger girls. So we now said, okay, as ex-athletes, we were there before them, and many challenges that we faced while we were athletes, coming out will help these athletes not to go through such challenges, preventable challenges. And we decided to group ourselves together to be a voice for the female athletes in Nigeria. And at the same time, we want to present ourselves as role models to these girls, because those girls that are in sport actually need mentors. When a girl leaves home for camp, the officials in camp, the officials become the father, the mother, and all that. Sometimes some of them are good mothers, some are good fathers, but some are not. And we know that there's sexual harassment that is very prevalent in our camps. We now said, okay, we are going to engage in an advocacy to prevent sexual harassment among our girls. And also, we looked at the whole situation that a time has come now that we break that cycle of athletes, female athletes, having inconclusive education, and at the end of their sporting careers, they have nothing tangible doing. And thank God, most of the former athletes, by the grace of God, they have established themselves in various spheres of life, and they are making waves in their various fields. And that is why it is very important for the ex-athletes to come out now and present themselves as role models, that these younger girls too will aspire even to be like them, and even do something better than the current athletes in Nigeria. And one of the things that we are working on is a particular project that we call Sport and Brain. Sport and Brain enables the association to attach potential athletes to sponsors that will give them scholarships. Majority of these athletes are from humble family background. Some of them, the little money they are making from sports is just enough for their parents to continue to encourage them to do sports. But we know that one day they will stop this active participation in sport. Injury can set in, age factor can set in. Then after their sporting activities, what next? That is why we want them to go to school. We are presenting ourselves to them that it is possible for you to go to school and at the same time do sports, pari passu. And when you come out of school, you have something to fall back on, and you still continue your sport. Over there, overseas, we have people in sport that are doctors, lawyers, accountants from various fields of endeavor. And that is why we don't want to erase that norm that people in sport are not educated. We want to erase that, and we are encouraging a lot of them to go to school. Now, if we have athletes in camp, one of the things we do as AFFAN is that we get ourselves involved in activities of various federations. What do I mean by that? If you have a camp, a female camp, there must be female officials in the camp. You don't leave female athletes alone at the mercy of female coaches or at the mercy of male coaches and male officials, because you make the female athletes vulnerable, and you make them open to abuse. and we want to prevent that. Now, if one of the areas that we want to impact these younger girls is an area that we call one athlete, one team project. When we discover a potential female athlete, we approach a sponsor. We attach that athlete to a sponsor, and the role of the sponsor mainly is to take care of the welfare of that athlete, preparation of that athlete until that athlete gets to get podium success in the competition that athlete is preparing for. For example, let's look at Olympic Games. Now, to win at the Olympic Games, you don't just discover the athlete today and you push the athletes to go and participate at the Olympics. No. The athletes must have started a sporting career right from school. And that is why the project of AFFAN that we call Girls at Games, that project is mainly for junior and senior girls' secondary schools. We did one in Duse Government Girls Secondary School, Duse, recently, whereby we renovated the facilities of the school, we donated sport equipment, and we organized interdepartmental competition in the school. Now we were able to discover some athletes from that school. The athletes discovered from that school that we know are potential athletes. The organization, let's say we pick one athlete from football, the philanthropist or the organization or well-meaning Nigeria that takes over the training of that athletes, what that means is that athletes will be given a training grant. From the training grant, the athletes will take care of transportation to and fro training. From the training grant, the athletes will feed. From the training grant, the athlete will equip herself. So if the athlete now needs to go and qualify, for a particular competition or a particular game, it is the responsibility of that sponsor to ensure that that athlete program is well funded to go and qualify. Now, some of our sports in Nigeria are still, struggling to qualify for the Olympics. If we had this program in place long time ago, many of our athletes would have qualified about 2 years ago. So we are looking at it now that this is the time for us to start with these younger girls in the secondary school. For example, now the future coaches that would aspire or would desire to have in Nigeria are the athletes that are playing now. Because when you look at the life of coaches, majority of them now played one sport or the other, ex-athletes in their various sports. Now, if we don't develop these girls at the secondary schools, when they now get out of secondary school, they don't go further. Some of them will go out on for professional career, and at the end of the day, when they come back, they are unable to play again professionally. They come back home. Majority of them will fall back to coaching. So, in order to avoid what the problem, the challenges we are having now, that we cannot specifically say, oh, we prepared this coach to get to this level, because coaching profession is a dumping ground. Anybody can just wake up, oh, I'm a coach, because we don't have that certification system in Nigeria. Coaching profession is not regulated in Nigeria. So that is why you see different kinds of people in the coaching profession. Now, why are we concentrating on these younger ones that are playing and desiring that some of them will become coaches in future? Number one, our Sport and Brain project encourages them to go to school, at least have a first degree. Imagine they come out with first degree and they end their playing career and they decide to become coaches. We have achieved two things. Number one, the athlete must have achieved what we call personal preparation. Personal preparation means you have played that sport, because if you have not participated in that sport, you can't coach it. Then secondly, that athlete would have achieved academic qualification, which helps that athlete to understand research findings. Sport is science. You understand? Sport is science, and for you to be able to interpret research findings, you need minimum of first degree. And because when you have a first degree, you can read, you can interpret, especially if you go for a course like human kinetics and health education that is synonymous with sporting activities. Then you are taught what they call exercise physiology, anatomy and physiology, kinesiology, all those are related to sports performance. Okay, before you can't start sport in the tertiary institution and get to the podium. It will be almost late. And that's why for you, because in a particular country, for you to represent that country, you must be in higher institution. It's compulsory, because they don't want dropouts. They don't want people that at the end of their sports career, they will say, oh, government abandoned us, which we have had severally in Nigeria. Now, building that foundation from the junior and senior secondary schools now, there's no way you will participate actively in the junior secondary school to senior secondary school, and you now get to the university of already you falling in to representing the university at Noga Games. It continues from there. Now, what we are looking at in the area of our institution is that we want to organize female programs. For example, let me pick handball as an example. For only female teams from our tertiary institutions will come together and play a national tertiary handball championship. We can pick volleyball, we can pick taekwondo, just female only. And one of the advantages of organizing competition for female only, from experience, sometimes when we organize competitions and a state is supposed to present male and female, we now realize that many states will just jettison the female team and come along with the male team. In the African Handball Federation now has divided the competitions, the African Nations Cup, into two, just like they do in football now. Before, we had both together, and they now realize that some countries will just come with one team. But if you organize the competition mainly for female, it will encourage more states to participate and more universities to produce female teams. It's to strengthen the participation of female teams in our programs. Because if you don't bring them up, for example, you organize a competition for male and female, and you have 20 male teams, and you have 5 female teams. At the end of the day, we cannot get the best to represent the country. Well, sport development in Nigeria, as you said, development is continual. So we will continue to develop our sports regularly, because you can never get at a point that you say, oh, we are fully developed. Sport is dynamic, it is not static. Now, one of the ways we've been talking about the grassroots. Our zonal structures must be strengthened. And what do I mean by that? Our zonal structures must be well funded. At the national level, we don't produce athletes at the national level. Just as NFF does not produce athletes, so also the federations at the national level don't produce athletes. These athletes come from the states. These athletes come from various local governments. Now, if you look at our zonal structures, we have 6 zones in Nigeria. Just like Radio Nigeria, NTA, UBEC, and some other agencies that have their zonal structures as departments. If it's a department, it's well funded. And the same thing we are advocating for sport. Let the zones be departments that will be funded. Because the major reason of making zones departments is for each department to reach the grassroots. And if anybody needs to reach the grassroots, it's a sport. For example now, let's say a particular zone is a department and is well funded for the programs within that zone. You take handball, for example. Don't mind me, I keep talking about handball because that is my game. You talk about handball. There's in a zone, like Southwest, you have 6 states there. There will be an intra-state competition. Intra-state competition means within each state, there will be regular handball competitions for the state to be able to come up with a team that will represent her. Now, each of the 6 states you will have a solid team. Then you have interstate competition within still one zone. Then each state will compete. The state within each zone will compete among themselves. From the 6 states, you are able to pick a zonal team. Do you understand? You are able to pick a zonal team. A zonal team will emerge from the 6 states. That means these are the best players within that zone. Now, each of the zones will do the same thing. Then you now organize interzonal championship. When you organize interzonal championship amongst these zones, you from the intra to inter, the best are coming up until they get to a position they now become zonal champions. Now, when you now have this zonal competition, that is when national will now come and pick their best players from all the zones all over Nigeria. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if that is not in place, whatever each state can gather is what they present at the national competition that we just pick, and that is why we are not doing well. Sports is preventive. It takes people away from the hospitals, and you have healthy citizens. What does that mean? More productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness. We will enjoy it all over. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. Like you heard it all from the national president of AFFAN. AFFAN has a lot in stock for all our female athletes across the country. If you know you are gifted in one area or the other in sports, locate AFFAN, because they're ready to nurture you and make you become whosoever you desire to become in life. Till I come away again, I remain host Joseph Aluko. Bye for now. Please do follow us on our social media platform for more updates and comments. On Facebook, Bolijo Media Communications Limited. On Twitter, BOJ_TV. On WhatsApp, 0703-477-8568. Our email, bolijomedia@yahoo.com. For more updates from BOJ TV, kindly click on the subscribe button and the notification bell sign beside.